Hello and welcome everyone. This is Tacozilla. I just ate 3 pounds of Chinese food and I am here with the Dadman. Dadman, how are you?
I'm good too. I didn't eat as much Chinese food, but enough to do a very good podcast.
War, what is it good for?
Well, good for parody movies in the case of one of the movies we're going to talk about. So I'll let you. Oh, okay. You're showing me something. All right. These are scenes from the two movies we're going to discuss today, and the one I didn't remember, but I remember it now. So,
Black Hawk Down.
Black Hawk Down, where the guy goes, he can't hear anymore because the guy fires a machine gun right next to his ear.
The guy who fires the machine gun, do you remember who that is? When I say his name, you're going to be shocked.
I don't.
Tom Hardy.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God, I'd love to. I should watch that again. Watch that. I did not know that. Oh my God. Okay.
Black Hawk Down has a tremendous cast.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of really good. One. I just want to mention the one because he passed away not too long ago. What's his name?
Tom Sizemore?
Tom Sizemore. He just was. In some movies, I just think he just, didn't have a huge role, but he just in this movie it was just. I don't know. Just there's moments that he had in that movie that I just loved, and it's part of the reason I love Black Hawk Down. I think it's authentic. I think it's exciting. It's a great story. It's just a very, very good movie. And in what they did, I know they went to great lengths to make it very pure, very believable, and they did a very good job. And I've watched that movie. I rarely watch a movie more than once. I've watched it maybe 3-4 times. I love that movie.
What I said, and one of the reasons I appreciated it so much, I rated it so high, and all of the above that goes into that, is because, to my knowledge, on a large scale, mainstream, modern warfare
Yeah.
has never been. I don't know what that looks like. Obviously, I've never
Right.
served, but it seems like the most realistic depiction. That's the first and most accurate.
Yeah. I mean, Saving Private Ryan, which a lot of people love that film, and I don't dislike it, but other than the
Spielberg's a hack.
no, he's not. But he made that movie in honor of the greatest generation, which my father was hitting the beaches, so it has a lot of meaning for me. But that scene, it was a meat grinder. These people just basically, they said, look, we have to, if we overwhelm the beaches, many will die and just be shot by machine gun. But if we overwhelm them, we will be able to take the beach. And that was the theory, and it did work, but at great cost. So that scene, one of the best of warfare. But for the ongoing movie, the best, in my opinion, is Black Hawk Down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the most realistic, that, because I haven't seen the entirety of that movie, but I've still seen that part
Of
Saving Private Ryan, right? Because it's up there with like Full Metal Jacket, where it's like, hey, you got to watch, the drill sergeant, all the stuff that he says.
Yeah.
And so I had seen that before I ever seen the movie, and I do plan to watch Saving Private Ryan, obviously, because it's very well respected.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be the most realistic in all of the war movies, but if you think about it, and this is a time period that I was still a young movie fan.
Oh, yeah.
But they weren't showing like what warfare is like in the 21st century very well.
No,
up
I mean,
that
there was
point.
some glamorization of it.
Nowadays, I mean, now it is covered a lot more, and there's some really, pretty strong movies. American Sniper's really well done.
Yeah.
13 Hours in Benghazi's well done.
I love 13 Hours in Benghazi. I just intense, super intense.
I was gonna save this for later, but just talking about war movies, these are definitely near the top. Both of these films we're going to talk about.
Right.
Surprising for a comedy film, just because, like, you know, I can love comedy films and still will rate them, like, you know,
Lower.
yeah, because
They're a lesser class, kind of.
yeah. Like, it's, I know it's sentimental value, and it's not like, I don't know, I kind of skew it lower to be more objectively like, look, for a film, I mean, this plot is not the best plot,
Right, yeah.
but it's able to be funny. But anyways, my number one war movie is Full Metal Jacket. I have decided as of well,
Well,
recently.
that's Stanley Kubrick, so obviously that's very understandable. I didn't like it as much. I don't know why. I wish I did. I mean, it's basically two movies, you know. There's Boot Camp and then and I don't like Matthew Modine. I don't know.
Well, because you guys went to high school together and had beef.
Yeah, we go in long standing grudge. Now, he's not like someone you're gonna put to carry a movie by Stanley Kubrick. I'm sorry, he's B level at best. Someone, and the plot, I don't know. I know you like it, and I understand, and I don't put you down for that. Apocalypse Now to me is like twice that movie of Full Metal Jacket.
I think and I do, full disclosure, I need to rewatch
What?
Apocalypse Now again.
Oh, I mean, I'm not trying to. Well, I mean, it's the horror and insanity of not just Vietnam, but of just war, or like a colonial type war, which Vietnam was. It was based on a book. I've always said it's Heart of Darkness, which was about the ivory trade in the Ivory Coast, somewhere in Africa, where England would get. They would sell, I don't know what they would call it exactly, but the opportunity to go there.
Excursions.
Well, yeah, and kind of exploit the native population for a commodity. In this case, it was ivory. And, the guy goes insane. He becomes like a warlord, but he thinks of himself almost as a prophet. And the Heart of Darkness is the same thing. They send the guys like, look, this guy's lost his mind. You got to go down there. He's starting to attack other people. And
Marlon Brando.
well, that's the movie. I'm talking about the actual book.
Oh.
And I don't remember the book, although I did read it. I know that I even remember the author's name. I think it's Robert Conrad. But
yes, definitely Conrad is the last name.
yeah,
I tried to read it myself. I couldn't get into the writing style. And
yeah, I actually didn't like the book. It was hard. It was hard for me to read. I think it was back then. I didn't read as much, and I had more trouble reading anything of any sophistication. But I think that's what really contributed to it being such a good movie. Is it had very, very good back source material, well written novel.
Yeah, and this is just arching this, and then I have something additional, but it brings up a good point. The writer's strike is going on right now.
Right.
And I do think, like, and this is Captain Obvious meets no shit Sherlock, but good writing is the basis of any good movie.
I think so too. I agree.
It's why directors who also write their material are
Yeah.
so well respected.
Yeah. Because the two, you could have a well-written script, poorly directed, or a poorly written script, well-directed, and it doesn't give you a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you have both, and if you very, very well done, you could have a classic.
Yeah. It's like if one of the things are bad, it's like putting 5 pounds of cake and 5 pounds of shit in a bag and mixing it up. You're gonna have 10 pounds of shit after you mix it up.
Right. It's a great. You should write analogies for a living because that's excellent.
Heart of Darkness also inspired a movie which I had recommended to you. I don't know if you've seen it. It inspired obviously Apocalypse Now, but
Well, no, that's the source material for that movie.
Yes, Heart of Darkness.
Yeah, it's not like just inspired. I mean, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
It's the source material of both Apocalypse Now and Aguirre, the Wrath of God.
Yeah, I know.
But so the story
Is that the one where
similar.
they're trying to take the boat over a mountain?
No, that's Fitzgeraldo, same director, Werner Herzog. I love him as a director. He's an author as well. He's super, super smart. But Aguirre is about these conquistadors who are going down the Amazon River.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a mutiny in which this Aguirre takes over because he wants to be the king of the Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in notes of grandeur and
Right.
insanity
Right.
follow. And his daughter's there with him, and he wants to be king and queen with his daughter and become the master of a new race that will take over the land. It's really cool, different.
I think I would like that. I like that idea.
And I think there's two versions. I think there's a German version and an English version. I know you're very averse to subtitles, but I think they have multiple versions.
Yeah.
And there's a freaking amazing...
Which, really, when you were talking about that, I mean, that maybe specifically never happened, but very, very similar things did happen. As invaders, with advanced weapons against primitive people, I mean, I think that's how a lot of the atrocities happen, is because there's nothing stopping us.
Yeah.
We have power over these people, complete power over these people, and I think the absolute power concept. I mean, they just went subhuman.
It is amazing to think about that, because I think we, as individuals, like, you can probably speak for yourself, as can I. If you get a little dose of power, you never think of yourself to change from it, but you do.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Like, I remember just being
That's like
on...
the ultimate drug is power.
Yeah. I remember just being on a varsity sport, being a varsity athlete, like playing varsity.
Mm-hmm.
And before I looked at it, I was like, those people suck. And then a couple weeks later, they're like, we need you to play. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be a part of that group.
Yeah.
And then I didn't abuse it and think people were, but you think higher of yourself.
You do. It increases your self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And in that lies the problem, where it could be in a healthy way or in an unhealthy way.
Yeah. You think you're invaluable, you think you're invincible.
Yeah.
But check that movie out at some point. I'm telling you.
I think I will. I know that you've talked a lot about Herzog and him. And the thing about a guy like that, he's so non-conventional. And film needs that, especially now. My God, with the amount of retreads and live action of cartoon, and there's doesn't seem like there's an original thought left in Hollywood at all, and I know they're there to make money. They're not there to entertain. They don't care if you like the movie or not. Just spend money to go.
That might be a
It's
new
business.
trend.
What's that?
Get people that a movie people hate so much they have to go see it to say how much they hate it.
It's like, yeah, I didn't realize how bad it was until I went to see it. Yeah. But with streaming's kind of changed that. So you have a higher threshold now to get people in theaters.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I'll just wait.
One movie that... Oh, and I another things that I want to preface this, just complete asides. I was listening to... It was a sports podcast. It's this guy named the Podfather. And I love his fantasy football takes, but he was talking about the two big movies in theaters right now, Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Never heard a worse take in my entire life. He said Barbie was awesome. As far as the political stuff that they were trying to push, it's just a movie. I'm there to be entertained. okay, bad take. It wasn't written well either. Just stating what your objective is
Mm-hmm.
that you're trying to get across through the writing, having characters say it
Yeah.
outright is never a good. I still thought it was a well done movie. I thought it was very good. There was funny moments, good performances, good set design, good hair, good makeup, all of that good. Writing was one of the worst sides of it, which is weird because Greta Gerwig, who had a hand in the writing, and Noah Baumbach, who's also written on that, are said to be pretty good writers
Mm-hmm.
and have movies that, like, artsy fartsy people like I
Yeah.
would appreciate. That movie was not that. It was very mainstream, and I
Mhm.
think it was trying to cast as wide a net as possible. So, bad take on that. And then the second atrocious take he had was with Oppenheimer, that the movies should have been split up into two movies. They could double their profit, which, why would you ask for that as a fan? But I guess 3 hours was too long for him to sit in the theaters.
3 isn't. I mean,
It's a long movie,
That's
but
a long movie,
when it's
but-
a great movie,
yeah.
such as Oppenheimer, which so far is head and feet above everything else. I mean, it is
Yeah.
just the best movie of 2023 by far, in my opinion. You want to just absorb as much of that content as possible.
Yeah, I don't know if doing it twice is because you know how it ends. I don't know. I don't agree with him on that. I mean I understand the financial part, but I don't even think that would work. People would see the first one and say, "Well, I know what happens." You know, he developed a bomb.
Well,
And then I know as you watch the movie, it's way more in depth
Yeah.
and so forth.
that is semi the midpoint. Is like the test.
Mhm.
Is like, I guess I don't remember if this duration, but he said it was like an hour 40 in. I don't know that,
Mhm.
but so he's like that credits roll there, and then the second part, which is like him trying to get his security clearance and being investigated, is the second part. I don't think if you separate the two, I don't think people are gonna buy in for a second movie. I think they're
Yeah.
gonna be
Well,
like,
that's what I'm
what else
thinking.
do I need to know about this
Right,
guy?
right.
And I feel like I don't know much about this guy from the first one. It needed to be together. I mean, it would be like if you made Full Metal Jacket 2 movies. People would be like, okay, that was a cool, like, hour and 20.
Yeah. And you'd stretch it, obviously. You would be you'd try to
Yeah.
make it almost 2 hours if
You'd
it
be
were
like,
split
why?
into two.
Well, what's the second part gonna be?
Yeah.
Um,
And it is completely different.
Secondly, there was another YouTuber. He has a subreddit. He has like 1 million subscribers,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of based my format for this on a podcast that him and 2 other really famous people do.
Mm-hmm.
Famous in YouTube words, like
Yeah.
they're not on television or anything. You wouldn't probably know them by name, but just said thanks, like, you inspired this and it made me want to kind of make my life more efficient so I could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And he said thank you back.
Oh, awesome.
So
It really
YM,
is. It is.
Adam YMS, thank you. I appreciate that. But the 2 movies, we got Tropic Thunder and Black Hawk Down. And this is Ridley Scott, the director.
Mm-hmm.
And the cast and crew. So you can see Josh Hartnett. He's making a comeback, believe it or not.
Yeah. What is he in?
Oppenheimer, and he was in Black Mirror, recent episodes.
Oh, I saw Black Mirror. I saw that episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really excited
He
to
dropped
see
out.
him.
He dropped out.
I wonder if it was a family thing where he's like, I just want to be a family man for a little bit.
It could have been. It was something because he was like, he wasn't like at the top of his game, but he was, periodically in decent movies and stuff. And then bang, he just wasn't around anymore. I thought I'd
was
read
a
something about
He was a leading man, though.
Oh yeah, sure.
When
yeah.
when he was in his prime, I
right,
guess.
he was a Bruce Willis, but he was,
Yeah.
What is this? What is that right there? That face.
The Last Duel, Prometheus.
Oh, I loved Prometheus. I know a lot of people didn't. I loved it. I loved Prometheus. So as I look at Nolan, he may be the new Stanley Kubrick. Ridley Scott, sorry.
Well, Christopher Nolan, I know you said that maybe accidentally, but he's something special.
Well, some of these guys, and they might be really odd and maybe even have an enormous ego and so forth, but some of them deserve it. And, so Scott and Nolan, I believe, you look at Gladiator, oh my God, Blade Runner. The original Blade Runner?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's a classic. Alien's a classic. Gucci was in, whatever. I love Prometheus. Hannibal was very good. I did mention that. Alien. Is it Alien and Aliens? Why do you give it on there twice? What's that?
Oh, that's them. I don't know. I think that's one of the... That might be... Oh, it's Alien something. : something. I have not watched that one.
No, not Redemption. That wouldn't make sense. And then Black Hawk Down.
And then Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, that was all right.
He's a hit or miss director.
Well, these are all hits right here.
Hannibal wasn't crazy about.
No.
House of Gucci is supposed to be really terrible. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I saw it. It's okay.
Prometheus was good, but it wasn't Alien level good.
No.
But he has the ability to hit one out of the park. I mean, Blade Runner and Alien, sci-fi wise, are just kind of iconic. And Gladiator's really, really well done. And Black Hawk Down is one of those war movies that I think is actually very, very underrated after watching it again.
Yeah.
And giving it the absolute benefit of the doubt. It had a tremendous cast. A lot of these guys just kind of further down, like Jeremy Piven is just like...
I remember him in the movie. I do.
Just a smaller role. And obviously...
He was a helicopter pilot.
Yeah, something Elvis was his character's name. You got Tom Hardy, which plays a really small role. Ewan Bremer, he's the guy from the thumbnail that gets his eardrums kind of blown out. Orlando Bloom. Strong cast. Banya and Harnett, though, are the people I wanted to bring up because they were like, it's the crystallization of like early 2000s guys where you're like, what happened to them?
Yeah.
And Harnett's making a comeback. I'm happy for that. I love when actors can reinvigorate their careers. I was really excited when it happened to Brandon Fraser. And I'm excited because they just seem like solid dudes.
Yeah, I mean, if they're likable people, and these guys are, Brandon was, I think Josh is. I mean, not that we know them personally, but what seems like decent dudes and so forth. But that movie was about, it's about, what's the name of the country? I can't remember now.
It's Mogadishu. Mogadishu is the city, I guess, or the capital of whatever place. But it seems like it's somewhere in Africa.
Oh, definitely in Africa. I can't remember. But it's about that, or, us there.
The Battle of Mogadishu.
Well, the thing is the movie's about us really trying to do a good thing. Because what we were doing there was trying to enforce the distribution of food in that country, because the warlords would just take it and distribute it as they saw fit.
Is his name Adini? Adina?
No, it's not Adini. It's something close to that, though. What the hell is the name of the country? I can't remember. But it's Mogadishu. But so we're trying to do a good thing, and granted, we did this raid to turn out to be a catastrophe and an enormous loss of life. But it's Josh Harnett gets promoted, I think, in the beginning. That's what happens.
Because
he moves up to squad leader or something like that. And he's like...
The guy has a seizure, right before...
Right. And, not sure of his ability to do that. And this was... I don't think they realized what they were doing, or what they were going to get into by doing this. But, this would test any any soldier's mettle to do this, to go into that. It was just a complicated firefight for like hours upon hours,
And there's arguably what makes it even crazier is it's an urban jungle as opposed to like
Yes.
an actual jungle.
Yes, that's true, and that makes a big difference. I mean, everything's different in that type of situation.
And also the city seemingly turned on them as they tried to send more and more resources in, and more helicopters went down and people were pinned down.
Somalia is the country.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Yeah.
Well, I couldn't either. But
The pirate country.
so yeah, I mean, we're trying. Yeah, we're trying to do good. We were there. It was UN peacekeeping force, because who ended up bailing us out at the end? Was it Pakistan or India? Had troops there and tanks and everything, and
Yeah. Well, the UN peacekeepers and Pakistan.
yeah. But so they're trying to keep, mass starvation, basically genocide in Somalia, by trying to remove certain warlords, and then because in Washington saying do something, and so the general's under a lot of pressure. So we got to do this. He devises this raid and to take a bunch of prisoners. If you remember in the beginning, I think they all probably died because they put them in Hummers, and the Hummers were just getting
Destroyed.
destroyed with gunfire. And then what happens is just a huge catastrophe.
Yeah, they were given like a 3-week timeline, and this was week 6 when everything went to shit this day,
Yeah.
So they're like,
I think the guy's name was Adid.
okay, yeah.
Maybe you said that, but
I said like a DD or
Yeah.
couldn't quite get there, but it's relatively well received online. People have it like in the mid 70s from everything. Letterboxd would be 72, IMDb 78, Rotten Tomatoes 77, and the performance it did financially did pretty good. Big budget probably for the time period, $92 million in the budget, and it made $173 million worldwide. Those are pretty good numbers.
Almost double its money.
Yeah, generally, sometimes you take the budget and it's like 2.5 times that. I would still think this maybe came out, even though my calculations might say that it lost money. Budgeting back in this time period, maybe your advertising budget wasn't as high.
I don't think it was anything. I mean, now they just blitz the shit out of things, and they they pour a ton of it. And this, obviously I don't remember, but I don't think they had tie-in type. But with Barbie they have tie-in products and cross advertising and all that. Black Hawk Down, and probably wasn't promoted anywhere near. I'm not to go off, but Barbie is an American icon now. And I know you saw it, and I trust your opinion, and it was a fairly good movie and so forth. But I just don't think that they handled that right at all. I mean, I don't know, come up with this bizarre. I read the plot, and it's just so bizarre and weird. And Barbie's been around, since before I was born. I mean, it's apple pie, and so the plot. I mean, you have to have a very well-written plot, and that one just almost sounds just completely absurd to me. Of what I read, what it was, when we went to California and then he come back, and I mean, that's not Barbie, all right? Barbie, even before Malibu Barbie and Barbie's Dream House and all this Barbie doctor, there was just Barbie, and every little girl in the world grew up with that doll, and that's. I don't know if I ever made another movie about her, but for this to be the one that is well known, I mean, I just think that's ridiculous. But that's just my take on it. So I didn't mean to go into Barbie territory, but
You're good. Well, and you reminded me the last point I wanted to make in regards to just one statement from a podcast. He said, "Go see Barbie in theaters. Wait for Oppenheimer to come out on streaming and watch it." And I was like, "You couldn't have got it any more wrong."
yeah,
If there's one that you could wait to see, it's Barbie. You're not going to miss too much watching it on your big screen as opposed to a movie theater screen.
yeah.
Whereas if you watch Oppenheimer at home and not in theaters, I mean, it's like one of the most spectacular. Like, that movie has a moment that makes movie theaters worth existing still.
Yeah, yeah. The visuals of it.
Yeah, there's just in the sound, it's like the theater was literally vibrating.
Yeah, it's immersive.
Yeah.
Barbie, you don't have. It doesn't have to be immersive, but you know, and another thing, you know, so these two are just diametrically opposed in this way. You know, granted, I said Barbie was an icon; it's been around, blah 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 blah. But Barbie's plastic, okay? Barbie's bubblegum. Oppenheimer was opening Pandora's box to the atomic age. All right, something that fueled the Cold War for 30 years, and something we still struggle with now. You know, the use of atomic weapons and who's allowed into the nuclear club and so forth, and how dangerous that is of enormous significance. So Oppenheimer, the movie, is of great significance as a movie. All right, Barbie, granted, like I said, forever, been here forever. Barbie's always been plastic. She's made of plastic, and it's a plastic concept. It's not world changing. It's not that quote that you know that I like that says, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds." That's the nuclear bomb, right? That changes everything. You know, that changes world politics, and an existential concept. So, I mean, you can't mention them in the same book, let alone the same sentence. They're of completely different levels of importance.
And that's what made them both coming out on the same weekend such a great thing.
It's just kind of, but that's America, though, right? So we have something about the birth of the atomic age competing with a movie about a toy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Outperformed it at the box office.
I know it
as
did.
well.
It did. It definitely did. But I mean, but that's also America because we don't take things as seriously, the serious things seriously enough, and we make the unserious far more important than it is. For the basic consumer, you know, your basic consumer. That's how it works.
Well said. Let me ask you any additional things you want to say about Black Hawk Down?
No, just I very liked it. Saw it several times. I just thought it was very gritty and real, and it really good acting by many people, and no, not much more to say. One of my favorites.
Something I want to say, just a little bit related. Ridley Scott is coming out with Napoleon this year,
I would love to. I think that is a great idea.
in which Joaquin Phoenix is playing Napoleon Bonaparte, and I am hella excited for that.
Yeah, he has the gravitas, so to speak, for that. Few people would.
He is the guy right now in Hollywood that if you want a character, someone who's going to pour themselves into it, he's that guy now.
Yeah.
You know, we have, a few best actors that are currently...
Daniel Day, although he's a little long in the tooth now, he's older.
Well, yeah, I honestly think any director would take him if they could get him now.
Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah, I just think
absolutely.
You know, he's like just on sabbatical on his own accord at this point.
Yeah, that's what he does. He just like every 5-10 years, okay, I'm going to make a movie, and he'll do it incredibly well, and then he'll just go back and do whatever it is he does. He probably reads and
Yeah.
yeah. He becomes more intelligent.
Rami Malek, I believe his name is. He's a Best Actor winner though, but he's not getting the big roles yet.
Odd looking. He is odd looking, and he's a good actor, but he's never going to be your classic leading man type.
I could see him being it. I honestly, you have to have some. Well, that role obviously he has more like olive skin. You know, playing a Frenchman, you need a paler guy. But I could see him being like.
He's not even from France, Napoleon. He's from an island that he could have. I'm trying to think what two countries. I think it was Spain, or it was Italy and France. That over time this island, and I'm going to look it up because I have to know now, but that over time was these countries were in possession of this island, and it switched like a couple different times. So,
but you think of him as a white guy, Napoleon.
Oh yeah, I mean he wasn't like from Morocco or anything.
Yeah, well, yeah. The thing that I'm saying is with Malik, I do think he's a good actor. He was in Oppenheimer as well. He had a small role. But I guess I'm just saying I'm surprised he's not being kind of shopped around at the level that Joaquin Phoenix is, where people are coming out with these big, grand movies / franchises that are kind of tied to him, where they're like, I want him to be a part of this project. The Joker being one of them.
Yeah.
And that was obviously the movie that he got Best Actor from. So
it's hard to believe. You think about, okay, it's a comic book, and it's not Batman. It's one of the villains, of which there are 5 or 6. Well, but not just him, and because he did an incredibly good job, but just the idea that they made the Joker that poignant and so moving.
In all the mediums, it's just, he's so well done.
Who, Joker?
Yeah. I mean, but Jack Nicholson did it tremendously. Ledger did.
Ledger and him.
The guy that played Luke Skywalker does the voicing for him in the animated series and in the video game series.
Oh, really?
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, yeah. Corsica. Anyway, Napoleon was born on the island of Corsica.
Okay, that sounds vaguely familiar, but yeah. I like history. I haven't digested a whole lot of it. Well, the next movie we have is directed by Ben Stiller, a comedic heavyweight, with a movie that is Tropic Thunder with a great cast as well. That was kind of the similarity aside from them both being war movies. Matthew McConaughey and Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Cruise, like 3 legendary actors right now, all in this war comedy, which, by the way, is just a tremendous mixture, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you talk about heavyweights in a movie. This is got to rank in the top 10 and it's not a parody of war movies so much as it is a parody of
Hollywood.
Yes.
Yeah, because you have Downey Jr. kind of making fun of the likes of a Daniel Day-Lewis, someone who is like
a method actor.
Yeah.
That just pours himself into what's the name? Who was the other guy? Oh crap! What's that guy's name? He was in a Mechanic.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. That's who. If you wanted to pick one actor that he is copying, I think it's Christian Bale. And Christian Bale's a great actor. I mean, I think
he was my favorite actor for a while.
He could pull off a lot of stuff. The only thing I didn't like about Robert Downey Jr. in that movie, and I think it was some of his lines were just so funny, but I couldn't really understand him. Like when he was speaking, I couldn't hear him. I mean, I know he took on that voice purposefully, but somebody could have said, "Hey, we can't understand what you're saying."
Yeah, I always have subtitles on, cause I
Yeah.
have to blast the volume,
To hear
and
it.
I have to have subtitles, cause otherwise I'll have to put my TV at 100
Because you
to
just
make sure I can
yeah.
hear everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get crazy about that. I want to hear every, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to miss a scene and you're like, I don't know what they said there. But yeah, he is he's, well, with Stiller and even Jack Black too. And I love all of them,
Yeah.
right? Like, they're very likable actors for sure. But they really take turns just like
Yeah.
stealing the show, you know. uh, very, it's not as quotable, but the quotes from the movie are just hilarious.
Yeah, they are. They are.
This time period, I mean, this is one of the last of Mohicans as far as I'm concerned. 2000s was like the last golden age of comedy.
Yeah. Well, political correctness just
People,
they gave him a lot of crap. Do you remember?
For-
and he said, "Yeah, I don't care," or something like that. It's like, well, I wanted to make a funny movie, and
well,
you
because
have to
it
offend
was
people to do that.
it was making a point about it too, about the ludicrousness of someone having a surgery to appear black.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, it's like you're completely missing the point.
yeah.
And there will still be people who find this movie, they're like, I can't believe they did blackface.
Yeah.
In 2008, Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man did blackface, and no
Yeah.
one talks about it. It's like,
That's a good point. Yeah, because blackface is like death,
oh yeah,
like public death, and nobody really talks about him having done that in that movie.
but it's because when you're pointing out the absurdity of something,
That gives you a
Through
little bit
doing
of a
it.
pass. So you could not make that movie now. You could not make it.
dude.
Under any
I think there
circumstances.
is an audience for it. I think people are.
Oh, but the
filming at
hue
the-
and cry over that they would be like, we just can't. They're protesting every star's house, the studio, the bank that financed it. You could not make that movie now. No way.
I think people would forget about it in a month.
Well, their fans would, but the activists, the 1% of the activists, have a lot of power.
I agree, but we can't let that
Well,
override
but
creative
think about this.
liberty.
Why did Bud Light have a Dylan Mulvaney? Why did they partner with him? That's not that. I mean, I think it was like a rogue product manager, but other people had to know what was going on. That was social. I mean, that was marketing suicide. They do it to appear politically
Accepting
correct.
to the
Yes.
yeah.
But I mean, so if you can't go that far in not only not accepting but like making fun of it these days, you can't. I mean, people would want to watch it. I know they would, but there would be so many protests.
I honestly think that comedy can help reach the hand across the aisle if we can both laugh at it.
comedy, comedians are saying you just can't. It's like they can't go to college campuses and do their act anymore. Look at all the crap that what's that guy's name? The one comedian.
Joe Rogan?
No, he used to be real skinny. Now he's all buff. He used to do that one. He used to
Dave
do.
Chappelle?
Yeah, he got excoriated for his anti-trans rhetoric in his act.
But and then you look at how successful they
Well,
are.
But I tell you what, Netflix had to put their foot down and say, because even people within Netflix were protesting the fact that they're going to show him on their platform and his supposed anti-trans rhetoric, which really, I mean, it's comedy. He wasn't like saying things to have trans people, be persecuted. He wants to be funny. So he makes fun of everything. He makes fun of blacks. He makes fun of whites, trans, bi, gay, whatever. He's not hateful, but it doesn't matter. I mean, and that's pure comedy where he's just making fun of things. Things
Yeah.
have changed. There's been a sea change, and that's why comedy is just maybe dead as far as movies go.
Some independent filmmaker will take the chance and win big.
Probably, you're right.
And this isn't even an original thought. Someone else said this. They're dying to be second. Someone's going to prove it can be done, and they're going to be like, we can do this now.
They better do it right, or it'll just kill that
Well,
movie.
and that's what makes this so well done, because it's a very well thought out. Would you consider that satire, what they're doing as far as Hollywood's concerned? Or because it's pointing out the absurdity of
The parody set. I don't know
Parody
what the
is
actual
probably the
difference
right-
is between. But it's
this
so funny.
parody is generally very cheesy, but you can enjoy it. Scary Movie,
There's so
all
many
of
very,
those.
very bad parody movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was just
classic,
act.
one of the best.
So you got a
parodies.
guy, the method actor, which is Downey, and then you got the action hero, which
Who's
is
trying to be more
Stiller.
serious.
Yes, he wants to and he did Simple Jack.
Which is also
It was him chasing a butterfly with a hammer. And Jack Black, who's comedy.
We love Simple Jack.
Yeah.
And in Vietnam, they love Simple. No, did they cross? They went into Cambodia, I think.
Yeah.
When they got captured.
Yeah.
That is hysterical. And I made the comparison, and I don't know if this is actually what they were going for, but there is this perception that Asian audiences, especially Chinese, kind of just like our big budget but dumb movies.
Yeah.
Transformers being like one of the best examples.
That's actually,
of
I
this.
never even thought of that, but that's right. Where they, especially in Cambodia, I mean, they don't have a film industry, so we do make the best movies, in the world, put the whole catalog together. So some of our stuff would be popular, but they love Simple Jack, and it was, would have been nice if it had been nominated.
You were nominated?
Well, no, I just said it would have been nice.
And
Wait, who was there another? No, those were the three. Oh, but then there's a part, and actually it came up very recently with the guy who was an actual kind of nobody actor who actually went through boot camp
yeah.
to get ready. Those three didn't go through it, and he did. And he's talking to Robert Downey Jr. about why VHS overtook Betamax.
Yeah.
And it's this very long story that had to do with porn. And he said whatever porn adopted, everybody else would kind of follow suit. And Robert Downey Jr. says, "Have you been talking to me this whole time?" I actually said that to somebody 3 days ago, because that line just cracks me up so much. It's like an insult. It's like, you were so dull, I just tuned you out. I didn't even know you were talking to me, but.
So much of this is... Oh, and then Jack Black is the example of, a family-friendly actor who actually is, going through a drug problem.
Oh, yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Because it was called Fatties, was it the series he did?
Yeah. Or it might have been, Farties or something like that. It was basically parroting, almost to a T, the movie that Eddie Murphy made where he plays all the characters.
Coming to America?
No.
Norbert. No.
Was it Nutty Professor where he plays a fat professor? Or?
I think that is it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But he plays all of his family members, and he has this big fat suit, and
yeah.
And I think that came out only a few years before this, and they were roasting it pretty hard in that.
Okay.
And then there's the booty sweat guy who's secretly gay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's the other character. I can't remember. Yeah. So, and then that's your guy who's not in movies but is highly popular.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Yes,
that's a wrestler or a rapper. Look at some of the rappers that have got, that are mainstream.
Yeah. Some of the biggest celebrities on
people from NWO are selling toothpaste now. How the world has changed.
Yeah, where you're portrayed as a badass.
A gangster, and now it's Snoop Dogg hanging out with Martha Stewart.
Mm-hmm. NWA is what you were thinking of. I thought you were talking about.
Never mind. Yeah, I got that wrong. All right. But McConaughey was funny too.
He's so funny.
He's like the classic age, or like what we might consider, like he's not very serious. Like he's in his office, he's playing Wii tennis or something, and he's making this big deal about him not getting TiVo.
That was in your contract. That was in your contract.
He runs over to Tom Cruise's office. And he slams it down. He says, "My agent deserves some whatever it's called, like a generic term for whatever a TiVo is, And it's so funny. It's like the crap that is of no significance that they make a big deal about,
It is spectacular to think that Tom Cruise is in this movie in a full fat suit and balding thing, and he nails that character too.
He does.
It really shows off his what do they call it? Your comedic
timing.
Yeah, timing, but your beats or your roots or something. like that. Yeah. He did really well.
He's talking to the terrorists, the narco terrorists in Cambodia, and he thinks they're a talent agent. See, in Asia, it's like,
never heard
we'll go full scorched earth on you guys. It's like, you'll be sorry you ever. And after they hang up the phone, the Cambodians are looking around. It's like, what is he talking about?
My favorite part is Ben Stiller's in the jungle by himself.
He kills the panda.
He kills the panda, and then he uses his satellite phone to call Matthew McConaughey. He says, "I killed the thing I love most." A prostitute? No, a panda. Amanda?
That's probably not even a real name.
It's like, get a bag full of lye, a shovel, and we'll take care of this.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows the complete lack of morality of, because they're talking about, they're offering Matthew McConaughey a jet, a G7. G6 for just ignoring the fact that
Stiller was going to die.
Yeah, his client was being held by terrorists. So that's a good move. That's a good...
Danny McBride is in this as well.
Yeah.
He's a really good...
What's he say when he does he blows the thing? Big titties or something like that?
Big fucking titties.
Big fucking titties. Yeah, because it's a big deal because he
those
does it at the wrong
explosions
time.
are pretty spectacular too.
They're enormous.
Yeah.
They don't have enough to do them again. So he's blew it. They did it at the wrong time.
And that is I think that is supposed to poke fun at Apocalypse Now, ironically. Because I know there was some really bad budgetary that was a disaster of a movie that they didn't think they'd be able to release it.
Yeah, because it took so long.
Yeah.
And they went over budget because it took so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. And they'll probably say, "Well, we have the
and they had
the dynamite." So.
They had those huge explosives that went off in that movie too.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a couple versions. One they don't, and another one
Really?
they do. Yeah, because I've seen both endings.
Why would they cut that?
I don't know. I think there's 3 versions of the movie. One's Redux, which I hate, is incredibly stupidly long. That's why it was over budget, because they had this half-hour part where he met with these French people that lived on the river in their rubber plantation, and it was just senseless and stupid. There's some things it kind of gave him back, kind of show he hadn't completely lost his humanity, Martin Sheen. Mm-hmm. But then one version where they just leave, and another version where they just leave and blow everything the fuck up, calling the airstrike. Because I don't know if you remember, there's the one scene where somewhere
I thought it was near the beginning that they napalm, and that's where the quote comes from. I love the smell of napalm.
That happens in both versions. Oh yeah, they use napalm. But
that's the big explosion that I remember.
Oh well, there's one at the very end of one version of Apocalypse Now.
I don't think I've seen that.
They
version
nuke.
Then.
Well, they don't nuke, but they just firebomb the shit out of that village where he lives, and but he had written down Marlon Brando, kill them all or something like that. because he's like, I mean, I think, and what that conferred to me was, even though have become their, and they worship me, it's gone beyond me. The madness is, I can't control it anymore. It's a force of its own. You know. So he said, kill them all. Plus, he was insane. So
Yeah, he nailed that role. Going to this film, some of the ratings are actually higher for Tropic Thunder over Black Hawk Down. Surprising. The IMDb is the same, but Rotten Tomatoes is slightly higher. Lower on Letterboxd by a 0.1. Budget's semi-similar in
Very
box
similar.
office. Yeah, let's take a look. So same budget and actually made almost or more than 20 million more.
yeah,
Pretty impressive. It's a rarity that
a comedy,
big budget.
big name or big budget comedy though. So this was a big risk by Stiller
Oh yeah, absolutely.
because you don't make big budget comedies
No.
because they can.
Lose all of the
lose
money.
It can lose, destroy a studio almost, with the losses and stuff. But
I think he struck at the perfect time because you needed a Robert Downey Jr. to be able to pull it off. Someone who's actually a really good actor, but had the comedic. I can't
sensibility.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, but I have a specific.
Instinct.
Yeah, that wasn't the word either, but that is what I'm
Recipromative.
trying to say.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Though he gets it, because comedy is not something that is.
It's not just
easy
telling jokes.
Yeah, it's not something that just because you're a great dramatic actor you can just pick up. But Downey had it, Cruise had it, both kind of surprising. But
Yeah, especially Cruise.
yeah, Downey you can kind of see because he has that kind of quick wit in his big Iron Man roles, right? That's what they like him
he's
for.
sarcastic type of personality.
And
Plus,
he was
when
an SNL
younger-
guy.
Oh, that's right.
He was the
so
youngest-
that's his bones.
Yeah.
His comedic. And plus, when he was also younger, he did like some teen comedy type movies.
Mm-hmm.
There was one I think it was called Weird Science. He was in, and he was really funny.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't have a huge part.
I've seen Weird Science.
Is that the one they turn a baby or a Barbie doll into a life-size
Yeah.
girl?
Bill Paxton's the older brother in that
Oh
film.
my God, yeah.
He's
That's when they
hilarious.
said, this guy's something else.
Uh-huh.
He was such a dick.
Yeah.
He was so good at that. Yeah, I remember Bill. And then, but he is one of, there are two dudes.
He was like an 80s villain, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
there was just two guys. One was, they called Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Max. They called him Mad Max. And Downey was the other one. And they would do shit to the two nerds.
Mm-hmm.
Like in school, they'd like torment them and stuff. Like one time they depantsed them and said, "Hey girls, check us out."
Yeah.
And then they dumped a slushy on them at the mall. And
Is he also in a Molly Ringwald movie? Downey?
I don't know if you could be more specific.
I haven't seen
She
it.
was in
Pretty in Pink?
No, you know who
Sweet
was
16
in that?
Candles?
No, he's not in it. But I tell you who was in, and John Cryer was in. What was the first one you said?
Pretty in Pink?
Yeah, I think he was in that one. He was in one of those.
I haven't seen it, but I think on TV I just thought I remembered seeing Downey Jr. and Molly Ringwald in a movie together.
And, you could be right, but I don't recall one.
It is crazy. And then, he has this just monumental comeback. He gets clean, completely turns his life around,
Yeah.
becomes one of the biggest superstars in all of Hollywood. Now he was in Oppenheimer, which we've talked about a good bit. He's a very major character in Oppenheimer.
He's a senator or something?
Yes.
I mean, he completely changed his appearance.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, just to give you an idea about him coming back. Because he's a troubled 80s actor.
Mm-hmm.
The drugs have he's just wiped them out, like it did with that Lindsay Lohan, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even the highest paid actor
In Iron Man.
in one. It was,
Which actually came out the same year as Tropic Thunder.
oh, really?
That's why it was perfect timing. I think it's like, look, this guy
Do it all.
He's on the come up.
Yeah.
Just got him right at the beginning of that climb.
The guy who was the highest paid actor was in the movie Hustle and Flow. If you know who that character
Yeah, I don't know the actor's name, but
Yeah.
he wanted to continue to be paid.
And they said, nope.
Yeah.
We got other folks.
Yeah.
You're not even close to the lead.
Yeah, and Don Cheadle was arguably
He's a better actor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a very good actor. Now,
He's
the guy he
very
replaced
good
was a
actor.
good actor too, but Don Cheadle was like, I mean, he was in Hotel Rwanda, which was a major movie.
Boogie Nights.
Yeah, well,
That's a good one.
I know. I just, yeah. I shouldn't say that. I never saw it. Anyhow, let's go over my list of great movies and then some things that came up in your head.
We'll close out this podcast. Check out that episode though. It's gonna be coming out soon. Most important movies are movies that any movie fan should watch. But before that, what do you rate this?
Now, as a comedy, I mean, it's a really high-ranking comedy to me.
It's one of my favorite.
Terrence Howard was the first guy in Iron Man. It's a 9 in comedy. As a movie, I would say it's like an 8. Because it's definitely something it's like a must see.
Yeah, it's like it's in that group of just comedic movies that I love. Talladega Nights, Anchorman.
See, I think it's better than both of those.
I think I wouldn't argue if you gave it the edge over that. Step Brothers, I think comedically, maybe Step Brothers is a little funnier, but this has some action going on to offset that, so that argument could be made too.
Ben Stiller loves to make fun of Hollywood. I think, he's the son of Hollywood folks.
Yeah.
Like both his parents were in Hollywood. And I think that gives him a different perspective of having grown up being around it and stuff. And
yeah,
so
he seems kind of jaded to Hollywood. Or not jaded, but not like...
doesn't take it serious as it would want to be taken.
So, I give it an 8, though, as a film.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. You have been great, and we will catch you on the Flippity Floop. Bye, y'all.
You got to change that flippity flip.
We'll talk about it later.